Hello everyone, my name is Drew and today I'll be talking through my Premier League predictions for the 2024-2025 season. Now in this video I'll be going through all the teams that I believe that will finish from 20th place all the way up to first place. Now again, the transfer window isn't complete yet. I'm sure some teams could do some business that could have changed my mind, but I want to make these predictions before the first day of the season, which is Man United tomorrow. So again, these are my predictions. If you disagree with anything, please make a comment. I'm happy to discuss. Now in 20th place, I believe Southampton will finish 20th place. Now you could argue that it's quite a boring pick, a team that got promoted to get relegated straight after, but I just think that their squad is quite lackluster. I don't think there's any star talents in that team, in that squad. Their manager, Russell Martin, I just don't think he's going to have what it takes to lead Southampton to safety. And ultimately, I do believe Southampton will go down. I mean, they do have a player, Adam Armstrong, who's been here before. However, I don't think he's going to be that influential for Southampton. I just think that sadly, if especially in the Championship, they didn't even get top two. They won through playoffs, and that's not the best sign for a good team to cope in the Premier League, in my opinion, at least in recent times. So yeah, I believe Ben Brenton Diaz, he's a good signing. He's quite a good player. Played Sheffield United, did quite good last season. But again, I don't think that's enough. Now, in 19th place, similarly to Southampton, I believe Leicester will get relegated. Now, Leicester is another team that, in the Championship did really well. They probably shouldn't have got relegated in the first place. They had a really star-studded squad when they got relegated, but a lot of their players have gone since then. And right now, Steve Cooper, now he did do a good job in Nottingham Forest initially, but didn't go well. Nottingham Forest sacked him. They've got quite a young, inexperienced squad, and I just don't think they have what it takes to survive, sadly. They lost Shrewsbury Hall, they lost their old manager, Enzo Maresca. Steve Cooper's going to need time to get used to the squad. So again, I just don't think they have that experience they need. Now, they do have a few players that did play in Premier League before. For example, Ricardo Pereira, he was such an amazing right back. James Justin, he was such a good left back, but again, issues about just the rest of their team. Now in 18th place, again, the team that I think is going to finish 18th and also get relegated. Surprise, surprise, Ipswich Town. Now again, another team that's promoted. It's quite sad for me to say all the three teams to get promoted. I believe they're all going to get relegated. I've never made that prediction before in my life. However, I just think Chelsea had a lack of Premier League experience. Is their first time going up, and teams can find it hard going up for the first time. Teams can find it quite well. For example, Huddersfield did quite well a few years ago. But Ipswich, again, I just don't think they have got that talent. They bought a few young players. Hutchinson, who did amazing for them last season. Liam Delap, very talented youngsters. But again, it's just a big lack of Premier League experience. So big difference to Championship football, and I just don't think they have what it takes. Someone like Connor Chaplin, who was their top goal scorer last season with 13 goals, will that be enough in Premier League? Again, I just don't think so. So I believe that, I hope that McKenna does a good job. I really hope, because he did a good job last season. So I hope Ipswich survive, and I think they'll do the best out of the promoted teams. But I just don't think they have what it takes to ultimately survive the drop. Now, in 17th place, I believe Brentford will finish 17th. Now, I believe Thomas Frank, he's done an amazing job with Brentford, but just sadly, I just feel Brentford, they're stagnated quite a bit. When they got promoted a few years ago, they had a really good first season, and since then it's been kind of downhill. Ivan Toney, their star striker, he didn't really have a good impact when he returned from suspension last year. And again, they do have quite talented players, Wissa and Wemo. They do have quite a good squad. They have a very good defence, someone like Ben Mee, experienced, strong at the back. But I just think that overall Brentford, they don't have a talented team. Talented enough, they'll be in a relegation battle, I believe. They're not going to get relegated, but they'll be in a relegation battle to the end of the season. Now, in 16th place, I believe Fulham will go just to the wire and just survive as well, like Brentford. I believe that Marcus Silva, again, another amazing manager, really, really strong manager. And Fulham are, on paper, they're quite a good team. They're quite a strong team. They've got quite a few good players. Muniz, who was a good striker last season. They added in Smith Rowe. They got Alex Iwobi. They got a really strong squad. However, my main issue, my main concern is the fact they lost Paulinho, who's such an anchor at the back in midfield. He reminds me of Rodri every time I watch him play. Went to Bayern Munich now. I think that's a huge loss. They've got a still good goalkeeper, Ben Leonard. They lost Tosin to Chelsea as well. So again, I just think that they've gotten weaker since last season, and I just don't think they're going to have what it takes to ultimately get mid-table. And yeah, I think they'll finish 16th. Now, in 15th spot, I believe Everton will finish 15th. Now, Everton in the last 5-6 years, they've been lucky to survive relegation pretty much nearly every year. But I think this time around, finally, Sean Dyche, he's had a year in charge now. He's got a settled squad, settled team. and I believe that Everton will quick on. They had really good home record at Goodison Park last season, a really strong record. And I think their last season at Goodison Park before they moved to their new stadium is going to be another good season for them. I don't really see them losing that many games at Goodison Park. So yeah, I think their home form is going to keep them easily out of the relegation battle. Now in 14th, now this is a tricky mid-table spot. All these teams from 14th to 9th, I think you go either way. But I think there's a clear top 8, there's a clear bottom 6, and I would say the middle 6, it could go either way. Now in 14th, I believe Bournemouth will finish there. Bournemouth had a really good season under Iraola. He took them to really good heights, had them playing amazing football. Someone like Dominic Solanke got the best out of him. My issue is Solanke is gone. He went to Tottenham Hotspur for a club record sale, and I think that their striker, their replacement, Adebayo, I don't think will have what it takes to replicate what Solanke has done. So I think Bournemouth, while they do have a good manager, and that's why I'm not predicting to be in a relegation battle, I think Bournemouth will get 14th. Now, on to 13th place, I believe that Brighton will finish 13th. Now, Brighton recently have been doing really, really well. Brighton have been doing an amazing job in the Premier League. They're playing the best football outside the top 6 clubs. They're playing the best football. But again, I feel like Brighton have also stagnated. They've been in the Premier League for a long time now. And, they made Europa League. They've been challenging even sometimes for top 4, top 6. But I think them with their new manager, Josela, I don't think that he'll do the same job as Roberto De Zerbi or Graham Potter as before. I think he's going to have, quite a young, not an experienced squad, but he doesn't probably know his best starting lineup. It's going to take him time to get used to the squad. And I just believe that whilst they do have a good team, whilst they will definitely play amazing football, the likes of Mitoma, I just think that it won't be enough for them to actually get to the top 10. But it could be wrong. In 12th place, however, a team that is very exciting, very talented, a very talented squad is Nottingham Forest. I think Nottingham Forest should try and push for top 10. I think that might be too soon this season, but in the future they will do. I think on the manager, Nuno Espirito, I think he's a very underrated manager. He got the best out of Wolves a few years ago. Didn't really work out for him in Tottenham, went Saudi Arabia, came back, and I think he did a good job with them last season. I think their talent on show, their front 4, they've got Wood, Chris Wood, and Owini. That's an amazing duo strike partnership. They've got Hudson-Odoi, they've got Elanga, they've got Gibbs-White. Again, an amazing front 3. So I just believe that their talent, and they're only going to get better and better. Those young players, they're only going to get better and better. And I just think that they're really going to kick on. I think the Forest ground is going to be a hard place to go and get points. So yeah, I think Forest definitely have what it takes to finish 12th. They won't be in a relegation battle, that's for sure. In 11th place, I believe Wolves will finish 11th. Now again, another manager that's been doing amazing, Gary O'Neill. What an amazing job he did. And again, another team with an array of talent. Someone like Hwang Hee-chan, who missed a bit of season with injury because of the Asian Cup. Hopefully Cunha is someone who can stay fit. They did lose Pedro Neto to Chelsea, and he was an amazing player, but he was injured a lot. So I think they actually have more important players than Neto. I don't think that's going to be too big of a miss. And ultimately, Gary O'Neill has just proven what a manager he is. So I think Wolves will definitely finish 11th. Now on to 10th. I believe West Ham finished 10th. West Ham have won the transfer window. If you were ranking them first to 20th on the transfer window, I think West Ham easily had the best transfer window so far. They brought in so many amazing players that's going to suit their squad so well. In addition to who they already have, for example, Somerville, what a talent he was for Leeds before they got relegated, what a talent he's been in the Championship. That's an amazing signing. Fulkrug, what a striker. They really need someone who can challenge Antonio. Sadly, Antonio hasn't been the same Antonio a few years ago. So in Fulkrug, that their starting striker is going to be an amazing player. I think Lucas Paqueta, I think if he's not suspended, not banned for his betting scandals, if he can start, he'll be actually play the whole season, I think easily they'll get top 10. They could even challenge for Europa League. Lucas Paqueta, what a player, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League right now. So yeah, I just think West Ham will finish 10th. In 9th place, and again, the reason why I put Crystal Palace as the best team in these middle 6 teams, for Crystal Palace in 9th place for me is because of their manager Glasner. Glasner, what an amazing job he did last season. He brought the best out of players such as Mateta, Eze, Elise, made Palace an amazing team to watch. I enjoyed watching Palace matches last season. Under Roy Hodgson, it wasn't the same. It was quite boring football. So I believe Crystal Palace finished 9th purely because this manager will get the best out of his team. I know Elise left the Bayern Munich. That's a big miss. But again, Elise missed a lot of that season through injury, and Palace under Glasner when he took over were a changed team with or without Elise. And I think Eze, as long as they can keep Eze and as long as they can keep Mateta fit, Edouard's a good option, but I think Mateta Eze is going to carry this team to 9th place and maybe push for Europa League. But I think it's a bit too soon for them. I think they need a few more additions to get that. And Mark Guéhi and Anderson, rocks at the back, amazing defenders. So it's going to be hard to even get past them. In 8th place, now again, you might think this is quite low. But I think Man United is going to finish 8th place. Now the reason being is they finished 8th place last season. Erik ten Hag has really improved their squad. I mean, on paper he has. He's signed De Ligt, an amazing centre-back. He's signed Mazouari, a good right-back that can compete with Dalot. But they already had Diego Dalot. They already had Wan-Bissaka. De Ligt, defensive-wise, they have Lisandro Martinez, Harry Maguire, Yoro. So they do have a few good centre-backs anyways. So I'm not sure how big of an impact De Ligt and Mazouari will be. On paper, it'll be good because hopefully they stay fit for Man United. But I don't think that's the game-changing signings that Man United really needed to make. Now again, Bruno's Bruno. Bruno's one of the best players in Premier League and probably Man United's best player for the last 5 years. But players like Rashford who have fallen out of form, they have a lot of young players like Garnacho, Amad Diallo, Højlund, so many young players. They're quite, I would still say, quite inexperienced in the Premier League overall. Garnacho is probably one of the more experienced ones. But again, I just don't think that's enough for them to get top 6 this season. I think they'll have good patches. They'll have really good runs of form. But I can see them losing a lot of games to mid-table teams like Wolves or Nottingham Forest, or even a relegation side like Ipswich or Brentford. So the fact that I can kind of see that already is a bad sign. They had so many shots taken against them last season. Ten Hag, change his playing style. I don't think so. So yeah, I think Man United will get 8th place. In 7th place, I think Aston Villa will finish 7th. Now that's quite a big drop off from last season when they got 4th place. However, the reason behind that is they will be playing Champions League football. And we've seen a lot of teams that outside of top 6, when they do get Champions League or even Europa League football, there is that bit of a drop off. So Newcastle last season happens all the time. Even Brighton, when they had Europa League, we saw it happen with them. It's very easy when your squad's not that big. But Unai Emery is a manager that could prove me wrong. I believe he will prove me wrong. I'm just predicting 7th because I just feel like they'll have a few injuries. The squad's not big enough. For example, if Watkins can't play too many games, who did they have up front? Duran, he was okay, decent at times. But again, I just think Aston Villa will finish 7th. They made a good signing with Onana from Everton. They have a good squad, but again, losing Douglas Luiz, it's a bit of a hard one. But yeah, 7th for me. In 6th place, I believe Tottenham Hotspur finished 6th place. Now again, Ange has done an amazing job of Tottenham, personally, I believe. I think he's done a really good job. I think whilst Tottenham, were getting top 4 a few years ago consistently, under Conte, under Pochettino, I think Ange has really settled his step. And the way he's played football is very risky, very fun to watch. But I think his attacking football, the way he sets the Spurs team up is really good. Now again, the reason why I think they won't quite get top 4 is I just think someone like, for example, Huminson, an amazing player, world class, but I just think he's not as good as he once was. I think his link-up play with Harry Kane wasn't the same when Harry Kane obviously left. I think Solanke is a good signing, a really good signing. I think Solanke will definitely score a lot of goals. He will definitely get 15 Premier League goals, I think. However, will Solanke be just enough? Did they have another, for example, Richarlison? He had a good season last season, but he had injuries. The season before, he had a really poor season. So I'm not confident on Spurs attacking wise. I'm not fully confident. I'm not fully sold. And again, their defense is really good. Romero, Van de Ven, Vicario. We've got Udogie, Pedro Porro. So we've got a good defense. But again, is it their system that makes them exposed to goals? I'm not sure. So I just think they'll still leak a few goals. Their attack is amazing, but I still think they'll be a bit leaky at the back. Now, in 5th place, I predict Chelsea to finish 5th place. Now, again, this might be an over prediction. Some of you might be thinking, Chelsea, they finished 6th last season. A lot of teams look stronger than them. But I do think that Enzo Maresca, the style he's going to bring to Chelsea, the way that he's more possession-oriented, and the star players that Chelsea do have, like Cole Palmer had an amazing season last season, probably the best season last season. I think adding in players like Pedro Neto, I think the biggest difference is Nkunku. Nkunku was out the whole season, basically. He didn't really play that many games. But when he did play last season, he contributed to goals pretty much all the time. I believe Nkunku, Neto, Palmer, and then they've got backups such as Sterling, Madueke. They've got Jackson up front. They could get Osimhen, maybe not. But again, I think they do have enough what it takes to get 5th place. They will challenge for top 4, but I just don't think it's as good as the rest of the top 4 teams. Now, in 4th place, I believe Newcastle United will finish 4th place. Now, Newcastle had a poor season last season in comparison to the year before that. They finished 4th. Last season, they finished 7th. I think this season they'll finish 4th again. Now, they've got a really good squad. They've got a really amazing starting lineup. I think Eddie Howe, such an underrated manager, such an amazing manager, the way he gets the best out of Newcastle. I think injuries is the only thing that could stop Newcastle from challenging consistently top 4. But apart from that, they got Isak, who's amazing, Gordon, who's an amazing player, is going to be world class one day. Bruno Guimaraes, what an amazing midfielder. I love watching him play. Tonali's back. I think they've got such a settled, strong team that I think St. James Park is going to be such a hard place to go to, such a hard place for teams to come and pick up points. So it's a bit of a wild card prediction, Newcastle being 4th. But yeah, I just think that Newcastle will just edge it over Chelsea and Spurs for me personally this season. Especially they're out of Europe, so they have no European competitions. So I think that's going to be a lot easier for them to battle in the Premier League for 4th place. Now, the top 3 is an easy top 3. I think this top 3 is going to be settled like last season's top 3. However, in 3rd place again, I'm going to predict Liverpool to finish 3rd place. Now, Liverpool have lost Jurgen Klopp. He was the guy who took Liverpool from mid-table to champions. Arne Slot, again, another good manager, did a really good job at Feyenoord. However, it's his first season in the Premier League. Will he get Liverpool challenged for the title? I think they'll be up there. I think they'll fade away a bit like last season. I think Mohamed Salah, he's not going to be the same Salah as before. I think he'll still be world class as he always is, but I don't think he's going to score more than 20 goals, for example. And I think that's what you need when you win the title, or at least a lot of players score a lot of goals. They have 5 incredible forwards: Salah, Jota, Nunez, Gakpo, Jota. However, I just think that overall, a few of them probably going to get injured, sadly. They are playing Champions League again. I just don't think they're going to have what it takes to go the whole season challenging for the title. So that's why I think Liverpool finished 3rd place. Now, Van Dijk's an amazing centre-back, but who's going to partner him? Would it be Quansah? Would it be Konate's always injured? Matip's not here anymore. So it's a bit hard to judge. Trent Alexander-Arnold, now he's a world-class right-back. But again, defensively, there's just a few question marks. Alisson, world-class keeper. But again, I just think that their midfield, they have Endo as a number 6, but I think they need someone else to be a number 6 for them. Someone who's like a Declan Rice or a Rodri that Arsenal Man City have. And ultimately, I think that's why Liverpool finished 3rd. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We have 2 teams left. I think these top 2 teams are the teams that will finish top 2 this season, even for the near future. I think they're both world-class, incredible teams. However, I think that will Man City go 5 in a row? Will Arsenal finally break their 20-year streak not winning the title? It's a bit of a hard one. However, I believe that Man City will finish 2nd and ultimately Arsenal will win their first title in 21 years. Now, the reason why I think Man City will finish 2nd place is purely just because it's lack of motivation. I know they won 4 titles in a row. I know they could easily win 5 titles in a row. However, they've lost Julian Alvarez. They've lost a lot of key players in the last few years. I know last season they won the title still without, for example, Gundogan, without Mahrez. However, I think that they have a lot of emphasis on more younger players, such as Jeremy Doku. They bought Savio. Phil Foden is an amazing talent. Haaland, world-class striker. Rodri, amazing, world-class. An amazing squad, amazing team. They could easily win a title. I just don't think they'll have that same hunger, that same desire, that same motivation. And I just ultimately think they're going to start the season quite poor. And I think Arsenal's going to go clear and go ahead in the first few months. I think City will just fall behind in the beginning. A lot of players returning from the Euros. And I just don't think they're going to have what it takes to ultimately win 5 in a row. I think Pep Guardiola is going to be his last season. I can see City winning the Champions League. I can see City winning the FA Cup, but I just can't see City winning the Premier League for the 5th time in a row. And now the team that I think will finish 1st place, obviously, will be Arsenal. I think Arsenal are such an amazing team, an amazing starting lineup. They've got probably the best defence in the league. Last season, they scored the most goals. They got very unfortunate not winning the league last season. I think this year, all their players have gotten that bit better. Someone like Kai Havertz is fully settled. He wasn't settled at the start of last season. Martinelli had a poor last season. He's only going to get better from last season. They have Trossard who can step in. Bukayo Saka, what a player. Verge, pretty much world class at this point. He's always delivering year in, year out. Jesus is a good option for Havertz. And again, I think this is the way they play. They don't rely on just one sole goal scorer. They have goals from all over the place. I'm forgetting the best player that Arsenal have, in my opinion. In my opinion, the best player last season, to be honest. I think Martin Odegaard will be that spearhead, will be that player that take Arsenal over the line and ultimately help Arsenal win the title. Odegaard, what a world-class attacking midfielder. And we're forgetting their defence. Saliba, Gabriel, they bought Calafiori, who's a game changer. Their left side was really weak. Martin Zinchenko, Alexander Zinchenko, quite disappointing. Zinchenko conceded a lot of goals because of him, but now that left side is really strong. Timber is like a new signing. Ben White, amazing right back. So yeah, I just believe that Arsenal and Arteta, he's been doing such an amazing job. Arsenal have been getting better and better every year for the last few years. So yeah, I think they're going to increase their points total. They're going to end up with at least 92 points this season, and they're easily going to win the league, in my opinion. It's going to be a good gap over Man City. It will go to the top, but actually I can see City falling behind by November and it being over by December. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching my video. If there's any disagreements you may have, please drop a comment. And if you're interested in these type of videos, then drop a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll try to be doing more Premier League related videos and fancy Premier League related videos over the course of the season. Take care. See you next video.